Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today we're back with another installment of my Destash series, this time going through all of my greens. Well, spoiler, not all of my greens because as you'll see in a moment, I just had so many that I got really overwhelmed, so I decided to split them into two videos. So this video is going to be going over the lighter greens in my collection. So as always, I will save more of my thoughts for the end. Let's just get into it. All right, everybody, so here we are at my desk with my blanket on top to sort of muffle the sounds a little bit. I am really nervous about pulling out all of the greens that I have because I really feel like I have a lot. Let's just, rip the band-aid off and get into the time lapse. So as you can see here, I have filled up the frame, right? And this is not even half of my lighter, like spring, summer greens. So I'm not sure. Yes, I can, I can zoom out to the wide lens or whatever it's called. This is probably better just so you can see more of what I have. Because yeah, there is just a lot. So let me move this up here because I would love to see like just how much I have, like how much space it takes up, you know what I mean? Do that for now. And then I can zoom in and work on like the smaller color groups because I imagine that will be a lot better to look at than this. All right, I am sweating and my back hurts. It was a process, but this is every single green in my collection. It is a lot, pretty sure it's more than the reds that I had. And I'm honestly, kind of feeling overwhelmed. Even though I know it took a lot of work to just like get everything onto my desk, seeing it all now, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do all of this today. So I think I'm gonna do a two-part video because I'm not gonna lie, it's a nice day out today and I kind of want to like read on the balcony and stuff. So, hopefully you won't be too mad at me. The part two will come soon after the first part, but for today, what I'm filming, we're just gonna do the like lighter kind of shades. So I wanted to show you because realistically I do want to just go back to this framing BRB while I put away about half of these shades. Okay, so here are the majority of my brighter like spring and summer kind of greens. The majority of them do fit here on camera, but I do have like a few others that are right over here. So I have like two more rows. So this is a lot more manageable for me for right now. So yeah, we are just going to start by grouping them in color order. I'm thinking we're going to have some of the, really obnoxious, bright, like yellow leaning greens, the chartreusey kind of shades over here. Just that general divide between like the yellowy greens, like these shades, and then like more blue toned kind of greens. And then I guess like the more true, like greens, the Kelly greens, I guess. So yeah, let me try to do like yellow, blues, and the true greens. Where would I put velour? Kind of like a sagey green, and I haven't really made a pile for my sagey greens yet. These I think, yeah, can fit up here. I guess we'll just keep this one down here and then put it next to see, the problem is I feel like this just doesn't look like, you know, it belongs here, but I just don't know where else to put it. I know that this this over here is looking like a mess, but I just kind of don't have a choice because I can't like lay everything out flat, you know? So we're just gonna have to start piling them on top of each other. I have these shades here that, like, looking at them, I'm like, these don't really read as green. I guess Degas does from Fauve. It just looks very like minty blue, but these are definitely more turquoise, aqua-ish. So maybe I will remove these. This is Bee's Knees Little Star, Olivab's Ironic, and Olivab's Palm Trees. If anything, this one is a bit more green. I don't know, I guess maybe I'll keep Palm Trees, but I will take out these two because they just read a lot more in that like teal family. I was gonna say, should I also take out Mooncat's Sunken Splendor, which is a dearly departed shade, one of my favorites. Even though it kind of has like a teal leaning base, I feel like it still sort of fits in with like some of these. So I think this is pretty good as far as like splitting them into the groups. A little hard to see because not everything is neatly laid out or even in frame. There's like a few, you know, up there, but generally this pile over here are the more yellowy kind of greens or like lime greens. These are more like true like Kelly greens or apple greens, and then these are the more like blue toned sort of sagey mint kind of colors. I think I have the least amount of these like mid-toned Kelly apple greens, which makes sense in my mind because I definitely don't really, I don't want to say I don't love that shade, but I do prefer like blue tone greens or like lime greens. So I know I have a lot of these other ones. So I will move these out of the way. Let's bring these down and let's see if I can actually put these in like some kind of little layout here. So here is the first color group, and it's not that big really. I mean, maybe there's a few shades that, you know, could be in like the other group or whatever. It's this is tough because obviously I do really love a lot of these shades, and then when I think of, okay, let me pick out the ones that stand out, you know, as like ones that I really love, I want to keep for sure. That's the majority of these polishes, honestly. Like this whole top row, there's not one that I would get rid of. I guess if anything, maybe potentially it would be Island Pea's Jelly Bean. Controversial, right? Because I feel like so many people love this one, but you know, it's just like a very bold green that I wouldn't wear as like a full manicure, but I think it is super cute, especially for like nail art. So I do want to keep that. So we're just gonna keep this whole top row because I just know that I love those. I guess going through the Mooncat shades, I know I definitely want to keep Neverland. Oh, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful light green cream. These shimmers here are Apple of My Eye and Plankton. If anything, Plankton is probably one that I have not reached for, but I have seen more swatches of it like lately, and I'm like, why haven't I worn that? It's like so pretty. But I do remember when it, you know, first came out, it just was one of those greens that I didn't really care for that much. I definitely prefer the sort of like, you know, tone of Apple of My Eye a lot more. It's just like that brighter apple green. With this one, I don't love the pink shimmer. And I think I remember, you know, the formula not being like amazing, but it's still just so cute. So I want to keep those. I know I for sure want to keep Tectonic Shift from the Pretty Prehistoric collection. I just, the base color alone is gorgeous, but you know, the flakies are also very pretty, even though I've been having a weird thing with flakies. Speaking of flakies, we have the Powerpuff Girls green hardcore buttercup. This is gonna be so hard. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not gonna this is not gonna be a successful destash, I think. Maybe the one from, you know, this pile here that I am reconsidering is Color Department's The Go-Getter. I think on camera it's looking a lot like brighter and I don't know, just prettier in a way. In real life, I see it as like a little bit darker and more muted, which, you know, seeing it like on me, I wouldn't really love. Kind of reminds me of Olivav's Leafy, but this is even like more chartreusey. And so seeing these two side by side, I do prefer the green of Color Department. Let me save this in the other pile because I think I might just have like, you know, more similar greens over there. And I know for sure keeping Shake Your Shamrock, these cracked greens, we have Ooze and Lima Jelly Bean. I know I didn't have like a great experience with Ooze, but the color is just so intense. Like it's just, you know, a gorgeous like neon green. The other somewhat close neon is Cirque's Cushy, which is a little darker, a little less yellow. I don't remember how the formula was on this one either. So I think between these two, I do like the color of Ooze more. So I will keep that, and I will put Cushy in my destash pile because even though I know it's an iconic, you know, Vice green, it's not one that I really wear. Like the one Vice that I do like is Thirsty, even though mine has faded to hell. It is definitely not neon anymore. Even though it has faded, I don't think I have anything else like it. Like it's still brighter than a lot of my other shades, so I think I still want to keep it, but this one maybe is going to be on the chopping block if I find something that's a little closer. Lima Jelly Bean, definitely keeping her. I love her, she's so cute. This Color Department is another one that I'm like, you know, it's like a classic like grass green shade. Again, I feel like it's just picking up like a little bit brighter or like more yellowy than how I see it in real life, but it's a nice color, but I don't know, it's just not one that I really wear that often. And I'm trying to look through to see if there are any other shades that like are similar. Oh, by the way, this is called Avo Guac, and then this is Cirque's Renegade. Between these two, I think I do like Cirque's Renegade more, just being kind of like, I don't know, like a truer green shade. But actually, oh, damn it, this is gonna be in my pile over here. Oh, I don't think I'm gonna find it. Oh wait, no, I did. Okay, it's literally right on top. I was gonna say, it sort of reminds me of Olivav's Forest. It is a little bit more yellow leaning, similar to the Color Department, but this is obviously a lot darker. So now I'm thinking, okay, between these three, you know, which ones do I like? I guess the reason that I would keep these types of greens specifically is more for nail art, you know, for like any kind of little floral, like leafy vines. And when it comes to that, I feel like these shades, you know, being a little bit more on the yellow side, are more suited to it. I'm trying to think like practically, right? So because of that, I will destash the Cirque and keep the Color Department. And for now, I will also keep Forest from Olivav, but that's in my other pile. Then the rest of these Cirque shades, okay, we have Kelly Jelly, which I have to keep. Also Lime Jelly. Mermaid Grotto is another favorite of mine. I can't believe that I actually still have this. I forgot that this was in my collection. I think it was all the way in the back, but this is Soda Shop from the Bubbly collection, which we like, you know, don't really talk about because it was the holographic magnetics that, if you couldn't tell, are not holographic. I mean, maybe you can see like a little bit of a hollow sparkle in like direct sunlight, but it's definitely like a very, you know, silvery kind of look. Very pretty. I kept this for a reason. I destashed most of them, but I don't have like a light green magnetic like in this tone. I do have some other ones in, you know, the other piles, I'm pretty sure, but this is really pretty. The last two that I have here are Savorite and Harvest Time. Savorite is from their like Facets line, so it's kind of like that jelly, flaky finish, and I'm pretty sure this is like the original formula because it just like looks a lot more sparkly than their newer ones. And Harvest Time is like a jelly green reflective, but I recently, or somewhat recently, grabbed KB Shimmer's Pull It Together, and I definitely like the tone of this one more, so I will get rid of the Cirque one, even though this was one of their charity polishes, and you know, I love it for that reason. Realistically, between these two, I'm going to be reaching for the Kiwi Shimmer. And for Savorite, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's definitely a lot darker than Jelly Bean. I really don't think it's worth keeping both of them, but I don't know which one I would rather get rid of. I guess it's very similar to like Kelly Jelly, so you know, I can just like add some hollow in there. So yeah, we'll also put that Cirque in the Destash pile. So yeah, these are the apple kind of greens that I will be keeping in my collection, with like, you know, a couple of neons and faded neons, but they're still pretty. So, you know, even though these are on camera over here, I'm gonna push these out of the way as much as I can because I feel like I do love blue tone greens even more. The yellow tone greens are the ones that I'm like more picky about because I'm like, it's like too chartreuse or whatever. So let's go through those. Okay, I feel like that took longer than necessary to sort of organize by color, but yeah, these are just, you know, the majority of my yellowy greens with a couple of these like weird grayish greens or like just more muted ones. Even though I know I've tried to like, you know, show it some love before, I feel like I do want to get rid of Nailtopia's, what is this called? Jamaican Me Crazy. It looks more like a true green on camera, but in real life it definitely is very like chartreuse. Like there is a lot of this yellow coming through that I just don't find flattering on me. And you know, there are just other creams that I would rather keep than this one, even though it has a great formula. I do love a lot of like Nailtopia shades that I've tried, but this one I can do without. Other yellowy greens that I'm like, ugh, you know, I want to love it, but it's just not really hitting me. Unfortunately, Island Peas Clover. I know this works on some people. I just don't think I'm one of those. And it's a shame because, you know, I love this finish from them. Gorgeous in like a prugly kind of way. And I feel like it looks better on camera again than it does like on me. So, you know, instead of trying to force it and make it work, there are other greens. I mean, from Island Pea alone, I feel like there are like even Willow, which came out last year, is another yellowy green, but this has a much stronger green base, right? So I just immediately like it so much more. So we'll get rid of Clover. The other one that I had pulled out really quickly was Staycation. This is from the Splashed collection a couple of years ago, and this is another one that like I really wanted to love. This is the one that came out like before Clover, and I was like, okay, well, Clover came out and it's more opaque, so you know, maybe it could be like a replacement, but I don't like the color. And so yeah, unfortunately, I feel like I will also have to destash Staycation. Just, it wasn't as yellow. If it was just like a more true like lime green, and also if it was more pigmented, you know, a little bit more coverage, I would have kept it because I just, again, love this finish, but not on me. So like I mentioned, I definitely do want to keep Willow, even though it's not like, you know, my favorite shade. It's still very, very pretty. definitely would rather use it for like nail art and stuff as opposed to like a full hand manicure, but I do want to keep that one. Let me try to organize these a little bit by like the creams and by the color groups in a way, because I think that'll be a little bit easier to, you know, just decide how I feel about some of them. Okay, yeah, so I have my creams up here in these first two rows. These are like the more muted greens, and then these are more vibrant yellow greens, and then my specialty finishes. So I'll move the specialty finishes down. As far as the neons go, these three are very, very similar. First one that we have is Cirque's Electric Daisy, which technically is more of like a highlighter yellow, but to me, it's not really like yellow, so that's why I saved it for this video. Definitely, if you are trying to look for this shade, do not pay the insane amount of money that you might see on like secondhand markets or whatever, because especially for this shade, because Cirque just brings it back over and over again. This one is Island Pea's Playlist, which is similar but not as bright. It's like a little bit more green, not as much like white, I guess. Nails Inc Daisy might be similar in terms of the vibrancy to Electric Daisy, but more similar to Playlist when it comes to the color. Actually, not even. I feel like maybe it's like, yeah, this creates like the most subtle like gradient. I guess between these, I do like these tones of green more than Electric Daisy being that highlighter yellow, so I will get rid of that. But now between these, should I keep both? Probably not. I'm gonna keep Island P. No offense to the Nails Inc, because this, especially like this formula, the 45-second one, it's incredible, but close enough dupe for me, so I will just get rid of that one. So yeah, I definitely am going to keep Playlist. Other two bright greens that I for sure am keeping are Cirque's Cream and OPI's Summer Monday to Fridays. This one isn't really neon, but it's just a beautiful bright green. Maybe it's most similar to like Mooncat's Highway Glow, but Highway Glow is a little bit more of that like acidic lime color with like a bit more yellow, so I will save these here. From these couple of shades, I would say my top two favorites are these two, which are Mooncat's Highway Glow and Color Department's Kiwi Juice. This one is just, it's just so freaking cute, so I do want to keep those. What is this? Oh, Cirque's Tumbleweed. This one I wanted to like, but it's just like a little too muted. I mean, maybe it fits like more, you know, with these kind of shades. This is Olive's Scape, which funny enough looks kind of similar. And I do remember loving Scape, so I know I want to keep Scape. So yeah, I will get rid of the Cirque one. And these last two are from Olive. We again have Leafy and Lyra. Which one was I comparing to Leafy before? Was it the Go-Getter? Because I feel like it's so much more similar to Kiwi Juice. Yeah, so since Leafy is kind of like an in-between of these two Color Department shades, I will get rid of that one because again, I really love Kiwi Juice, and I do really like the Go-Getter. It's just kind of like that perfect like mid-tone grass green. And the last one that I have here is Lyra, which I feel like I really want to like she's cute, but she also didn't have like a great formula from what I remember. It also is like Olive's older packaging, so it's like the slightly smaller bottle with the skinny brush. So you know, yeah, I would rather keep like Highway Glow instead of Lyra's. And lastly, from my creams here, I don't think I'm gonna get rid of any of these because I really like them. These two might be the most similar. This is Nail Poly's Matcha Made in Heaven. As a matcha girly, I am legally required to keep this one. And this is Color Department's Peace of Mind. The unfortunate thing is that between them, I do prefer the Color Department one but I can't get rid of the nail polys, so I will be keeping both. Then the other nail polys I'm definitely keeping is You're My Favorito. This is just like a cute guac green, and it's kind of similar to these shades, but not really. I'm sure a lot of you already guessed it. This is Holo Taco's Matcha Maker, RIP, a beauty. And this one is Arosa's Honeydew, which is probably the closest shade that I have to Matcha Maker, but not quite a dupe. I don't know why I did like the world's smallest swipes here, but yeah, you can see that they are different, and unfortunately I love both of them, so I am going to be keeping those. So yeah, these are just the brighter creams that I'm going to be keeping. Lastly, for the specialty finish shades, I know for sure I want to keep Cirque's Starfruit Jelly. Even though it's like chartreuse, it's just so gorgeous. Also want to keep Matcha, which is a cream and like the perfect like matcha green, even though it's, you know, a little bit darker than the ones that I have on my thumb here. Also absolutely keeping You Tarte, High Society, All In from the Kelly Marissa collab. I do want to keep the cupcake one. This is one of their micro glitters, which I think this is like the only one that they discontinued, which is so frustrating. But it's just this like bright lime green hollow micro glitter, so I definitely have to keep that. We have Holo Taco's Full Charge, RIP. Definitely gonna keep this potion polish called Cactus Grove. I love that base color, that warm orange shimmer. Oh, it is just so beautiful. Also keeping Alchemy's Wall Hellebore. Love the combination of like the glitters in here. It's just one of those crellies that I'm just like, oh, it's just so freaking cute. Next two are probably the closest to like, you know, being dupes or whatever. They are Mooncat's Serpents of Eden and Prism's Lena. Prism shade is definitely a lot lighter and like more sheer, so you know it's not like anywhere near a dupe exactly, but they're like close enough vibes that I don't need both. So I would rather keep Serpents of Eden because that just has me in a freaking chokehold, especially with, you know, just how much more pigmented it is. But Lena still is really pretty, so I need to be picky because so far I'm just kind of like keeping everything, you know? Oh, this is another great one. This is Cirque's Cannabis from one of their like 420 releases. So, you know, different in tone than Soda Shop. If anything, the green magnetic that I'm like, ooh, kind of on the fence about is Velour from Island P, where it's almost like too muted for me. I feel like, again, on camera, it looks really pretty. Like if it looked if it looked in real life how it does on camera, I would love it so much more. But in real life it just looks so much darker and muted. It's just not my favorite. So you know what, I will keep it. I will destash it because I was gonna say it just does not really spark joy, right? So there's other shades that I would rather keep, like, you know, in a similar vein. This is Fields of Elysium from Mooncat, where it's like not usually the shade of green I would like. It's another like super grayed out kind of green. I don't know, there's something about like the shimmer, the hollow that just kind of like works more than Velour does. Although I'm trying to think, I mean, maybe because I know I don't love this, especially when it's like magnetized. I'm like, well, what if I just like don't magnetize it, right? Like, will I, you know, like it more? Ugh, I know it's only one coat, but it's already like pissing me off, so I will not keep that one. Moving on, we have Holo Taco's High Def, which I guess technically is like more yellow leaning, so maybe it shouldn't be in here, but we're gonna keep it. And then the Mooncat shades are Banquet of Breadcrumbs from the recent-ish Baroque collection, and My Bugs from the Nightmare Before Christmas collab. Between these two, I absolutely love My Bugs so much more. Banquet of Breadcrumbs just was not, it just wasn't giving what I wanted it to give. Lastly, I have Cirque's Sour Punch, which is one of their like jelly iridescent flakies. Love the base color, don't really love the flakies in here. In a way, it reminds me of Mooncat's Prickly Pear, you know, being this green with these fiery colored flakies. And so between the green bases, I do like Sour Punch more. It's pretty, it's so cute, but I just don't reach for it. So we're gonna put this in the destash pile. Yeah, these are the ones that I am keeping, and I feel like I'm not making a lot of progress. I don't know, I just apparently love greens, so this is a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. And lastly, we have my bluish greens, like jade sort of colors, but then some of them are like a little bit yellow leaning. And then these down here are like a lot more vibrant, you know, bordering on teal or something, but still very much green, in my opinion. I guess let's start with the bottom row since that's the smallest one. The first one here that I'm for sure keeping is the most recent addition. This is Prism Parade's Beneath the Palms. Absolutely beautiful. I adore that color so much. Also definitely keeping Degas. So we have these three creams here. This is Mooncat's Paradise Found, which, you know, again, is not like green green. It's kind of like that aqua turquoisey color. Then the more green one here is Olivav's Ambrose and Palm Trees, which I had shared before. So I really I can't. I was like, maybe maybe one of these, but no, it's just too hard. These next two are kind of flakies. I mean, the Sinful Colors I'm pretty sure is more of like a topper than a jelly flaky, but this is Lava Lamp, which RIP, one of my favorites. This is Sinful Colors Green Ocean. So even though this is like so sheer where it's like basically a topper, for whatever reason, I don't have it in my topper drawer. I only did like half of my nail here, so you can definitely see that there's like no greenish tint. I mean, maybe there is like a little bit of a tint, right? Because it's like the side of my nail looks more pink or something. For all intents and purposes, this is a topper, so I am going to remove this and put it in my toppers drawer to kind of compare it to something like, you know, Mooncat's Foxfire, for example. This is Mooncat's Sunken Splendor, which is another one of my favorites, RIP. And lastly, this cream, which is definitely not picking up color accurate. This is China Glaze's Head to Mojitos, which I love the name. This is a really gorgeous shade that I like mainly keep because it is just so unique to my collection. This is another like China Glaze collection that I loved. Okay, let's do this top row here. Unfortunately, one of the newest ones that I will be destashing is Cracked Polishes Don't Eat That. This is the Moldy Donut colored shade from the Glazed and Glossy collection. It's just a little too prugly for me. I saw a comment that was like, if only this was more of like a true sage or pistachio or even like a matcha green, just would have like been so pretty. But I know Monique loves her prugly shades, and so, you know, I love that for her. But unfortunately, this is just not one for me. See, these two look kind of similar. This is Cracked Polishes Color Correction and Ciate London's Clean Slate. I really love the Ciate. It's technically supposed to be one of those like thermal, or no, not thermal, what is it called? Like UV, where like, you know, you're in the sun and then it changes color. I don't remember what this is supposed to change to, or even if it still does change, but I just like love the color that it is here in the bottle. It's sort of this just like minty, you know, kind of green, but it doesn't look like it has a great formula. I haven't used it in a little while. Ciate on the top and then the cracked on the bottom here, and so you can just see the difference in coverage. But let me just build it up in a second coat though, because I know for the Ciate, like it's the color that like I really, really loved. You can see that, you know, the color is definitely different enough that like I could justify having both. I think, no, I think the simple colors is gonna be too blue. Yeah, that's like more of a blue kind of. Unfortunately, I don't really have another green cream like the Ciate. If anything, it might be more similar to the base color in Olive Ab's Calla Lily. This obviously has like a gold shimmer, and I love this shade so, so much, so I know I'm gonna keep that one. I forgot to pull out this Night Owl lacquer called Snow Day, which, you know, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I had compared it to at least one of these shades. Okay, this one I think is a little too similar to Crack's color correction. Such a shame. It's another one of those that I'm like, because I picked this up over Black Friday, and so, you know, I don't want to say, oh, like I regret it, but now looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have grabbed it. I unfortunately am putting that in the destash pile, and so I am going to end up keeping the Ciate. Just, you know, if you were curious, this is Holo Taco's Time After Time from the Cottagecore collection, but that is just even more blue, a little bit more muted and dusty. This one is Serum number 5 Aventurine, which, oh my god, absolutely gorgeous, but that's even more blue-green and more vibrant, I guess. I feel like the Ciate is different enough that I can justify keeping it. You also want to keep Time After Time and Touch Grass from the Cottagecore collection. These two Mooncat ones I love. I mean, this is Love's Labyrinth, which, you know, I did compare, I think, to both Holo Taco's Mint Mojito and Island Peas Princeton. I know I'm keeping Princeton. I know I shouldn't keep both of these because like they're the closest to being like dupes, but I can't decide, so I'm not going to. I admittedly don't wear this one that often, but I do prefer this one compared to like the grayed out green of Velour. Last one up here is Crack's Like a Retro Dream, which is this like super soft shade that's like barely green. It's really like kissing blue, but it's here, so you know we're gonna keep it. And lastly, these like final kind of jade, mint, spearminty kind of greens. I can't even think of like, I mean, maybe, no, I can't. I was gonna say, just by looking at them, like, what is the one that is like my least favorite? And I was gonna say Spring Sprout, but I know when I wear this, I like it. So it's kind of just not fair to, you know, just because it's my least favorite from this lineup. Unfortunately, I will also be keeping all of these. The closest ones to being like dupes are the jellies. So I have Cirque's Jade Jelly, which is a must-have, and then Dimension Nails Peppermint Hazelnut Milk. I don't know how well you can tell on camera, but the Dimension Nails is definitely like a little bit lighter and brighter, maybe more green and less blue. I think Jade Jelly has like a little twinge of like this blue sort of undertone. I feel like it still looks just like jade. So, you know, they are different enough in my opinion. Really quickly, here is one coat of the Dimension Nails on the left and Jade on the right. Is 2 coats, so hopefully you can see how much lighter the Dimension Nails is. And lastly, I did 1 thin coat of linen, which, you know, I kind of dragged near the cuticle, so don't mind the spotty application. It's not a direct recreation by any means. Yeah, as much as I would love to keep Dimension Nails because I love her brand, I love her polishes, her other jellies are really great. Between these two, I just do prefer the color of Jade more, so I am gonna keep that one. And yeah, these other greens I'm also gonna be keeping. We have Dollhouse, which is the newest one from Island P. So freaking cute. This one is from Paintbox, which is called Like Sage. Super gorgeous, but very different from like other kind of I mean, I think Time After Time is described as a sage green, but it's definitely very like blue toned. This is Holotaco's Crime and Punishment, which is, you know, a bright, vibrant like mint pastel. And I have BCB's Aesop's Fables. This is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my god. This one is Noodles, Magically Delicious. It's a Lucky Charms inspired Crelly. Like, how could I not keep that? Then we have Sage, another favorite that I shared in my spring favorites, and Spring Sprout, which I talked about not that long ago, of just, you know, maybe it's not cute in the bottle, but it's cute once I wear it. So I am going to be keeping that. So now let me just show you all of the polishes that I will be keeping. Okay, so here are all of the brighter spring, summer kind of greens that I will be keeping. There are a few that you can't see that are just like right up here, but yeah, for the most part, I have like these 4 rows completely, yeah, you can see that one, completely filled. The frame is filled with greens. We obviously have a lot of my like yellowy greens, truer greens, and then like blue greens. So, you know, a little bit of everything. I do still feel overwhelmed seeing how many there are because it's still a lot. Kind of wish I did cut down a bit more. If, for example, I were to say, oh, let me get rid of Mooncat's Highway Glow, I do have Kiwi Juice from Color Department, but it's just like they're so different to me. Do love having like the subtle nuance, you know, between them all. So it's still a lot for sure, but let me show you the ones that I will be getting rid of. Definitely not a lot. I think, like, you know, because again, I have not counted, but I'm pretty sure this is even less than my destash piles from, like, you know, my previous videos where it's like about 30% of my collection. I'm not sure, but again, it's not really about like, you know, oh, I'm trying to destash half of my greens or something. That's not exactly the goal. The goal is, you know, to get rid of polishes that I am just either not wearing, that I don't really like, you know, it doesn't spark joy, whatever, or even more importantly, that are kind of like duplicates. Ones that I am gonna be getting rid of, we have Cirque's Sour Punch, Mooncat's Banquet of Breadcrumbs, Vacation and Clover. Then we have Nailtopia's Jamaican Me Crazy, Olivav's Lyra and Leafy, Cirque's Tumbleweed, and then these 2 neons are Cirque's Electric Daisy and Nails Inc. Daisy. Then we have Cracked Polishes, Don't Eat That, Night Owl Lacquers, Snow Day, Dimension Nails, Peppermint, Hazelnut Milk, Island Pea Velour, Prisms, Lena, and these last 4 are Cirque shades. We have Cushy, Harvest Time, Renegade, and Savorite. So I'm sorry to my green lovers, you know, if some of these are like your favorite shades. I get it, you know, they are gorgeous, but some of them just like don't work for me, you know, so it is what it is. So that wraps up going through all of my lighter greens in my collection. As always, I can't wait to hear what you think of this video, of me struggling going through these. So it was hard going through so many of them in my collection and, you know, recognizing that they are really pretty shades, but I just haven't been like appreciating them. And even worse, I feel like I just won't because they're just like a little off from what I really want, like with some of the Island Pea shades like Clover or Staycation. I desperately want like a lime green, jelly flaky kind of polish, but I feel like those just aren't quite what I want. So I'm trying to be, you know, more mindful of that, right? And just be more picky with what I'm actually keeping in my collection, even though it is really hard because again, just like looking at these shades, they are so pretty and I don't want to like let them go, but I'm also just not not wearing them enough. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in the intro, but the part 2 of this video on my darker greens should be coming out next week. So I really hope that you're looking forward to that one as well. Definitely let me know what you prefer between your greens, if you lean towards like lighter shades or darker ones, because I feel like I've been mentioning it so much on my channel lately that I've just been really like feeling greens. Like I shared a lot of greens on my spring favorites wheel this year. I was tempted by a lot of greens when I was browsing Hella Handmade last week or whenever it was. And it's just so interesting to see because when I first got into nail polish, I really only liked a lot of like pastel greens, you know, like the minty shades, maybe a couple of brighter like lime greens, but anything that was like darker or more earthy just wasn't really it for me. And it took several years before I really like warmed up to those. So I know it's true for like all colors, but I feel like with greens so far, this is probably the most like variety with like the different shades and undertones that I've shared from the colors so far. Imagine the blues are gonna be difficult too. I'm probably gonna also split that into 2 videos between my lighter blues and my darker blues. But even before getting into blues, I feel like I wanna do a video on like my teal kind of shades, like anything that, you know, is a little too blue to share in this video, but then it's gonna be too green to share it with my blues. I kind of wanna do a video just for those shades because I feel like I have like a decent amount of them that look similar. And that was kind of the whole point of like starting the Destash series, is like kind of going through finding duplicates in my collection, or, you know, shades that are like close enough. So even though as a number, I may not have like a lot of teals, I probably have more like yellows than I have teals. I feel like I just have the same kind of shade of teal. So I want to go through those, so, you know, hopefully you don't mind that. But either way, part 2 of my greens is coming next week. My teals will probably come in a couple of weeks, and then blues shortly after that. But make sure to let me know what you all think down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!